Hello, Elaine. We are live.
Hi, Sam. Yeah, we are.
After a bit of a hiccup last week with me completely messing up my diary and you being very accommodating, so kind of you. So thank you.
No,
You
don't
are
worry. That's perfect.
well. You are officially lockdown lesson number 48, which is
Woo!
so we're nearly there. We're nearly at the golden 50, and
Right.
we spoke probably a few weeks ago now, and I said, no, you need to come on and tell your story, but because these have got a 5 steps to or 5 tips to, we need to craft something around that. And
Yeah.
we talked a little bit about turning your passion into a business and how exciting that is for a lot of people. And a lot of people have already done it or would love to do it. And so that's what we want to do, to inspire those. But first of all, just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your business, Elaine.
Okay. So I don't know how far back you want me to go, but
Just a couple
let
of
me
minutes is
just
fine.
maybe
You don't
start.
have to start off when you're like 2, but I mean, I'm sure it's really interesting. But let's talk about the inspiration for the business and how that started.
Okay. The inspiration for the business was my mother. So as you can see, the company is called Vi's. Vi was my mother's middle name.
I've been calling it V's. I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. No, that's the French. You know, vie, c'est la vie est belle. But no, it's Vi. And
Nice
it's
accent.
for, oh, thank you. Did you know I lived in France for over 20 years?
No, and I should have known that, shouldn't I? But no, I did not know that. And that
Well,
makes it a bit more obvious then.
yeah, that's part of my story. But yeah, so Vi was my mother's middle name. And unfortunately, she passed away in May of 2018, so almost 2 years to the day, because it was the 31st of May. And so when she was alive, she used to be really well known for these cakes that she used to make for neighbours, for friends, for colleagues, for just everybody. And so because that was something that, you know, she was really well known for, I wanted to turn my loss into a legacy, to make something that's hopefully going to be great out of my grief and to do something positive with all this pain that I was feeling. So that's the story.
Those 6 things you just mentioned there. I'm a bit of a wordsmith, so I just noticed you said, hang on, let's see if I can remember. Legacy from loss, pain,
Exactly.
positive from pain, and there was another one, wasn't there?
Yeah, something great out of my grief.
Great out of grief. They're lovely. Yeah. I really like that. That's just a lovely, round story of how you've created something very, very positive from something, very negative.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, my mother's my inspiration. So it's really a labor of love. It's not been easy, but because, as you said, I'm passionate about it, and it's a labor of love. So
how
that's
lovely.
Great.
Do you feel like you've got a little bit of her with you?
Definitely.
When like you're building the business and you're tasting your creations and you're seeing the smiles on people's faces. Is that a bit of Vi with you?
Definitely. It's really weird because when my mother was alive, I never actually made any of the cakes. Never made any of them with her. I mean, when I was younger, I remember when she used to make the cakes and, she used to give me the wooden spoon to lick and the bowl, and all of that. But they were actually sponge cakes, are not rum cakes, by the way. But yeah, so now that I'm making them, not all of the time, but I have made, and I do make some of them. I feel like it feels like kind of like I'm her. Well, I'm doing what she was doing, but yeah, so she's very, very present in what I do.
Oh, that's lovely. So what was the inspiration behind the actual rum cakes? Because you could have probably chosen quite a few things that she'd made with you or for you.
Yeah.
The rum cakes.
Well, basically, it's the Jamaican heritage. I think every Jamaican family has a recipe for rum cakes. So, it's just a Jamaican thing to have that. So she had hers, and so I just ran with that. I actually almost created a company that was, a product that was Jamaican rum punch, because that's another thing that a lot of Jamaicans have, is the rum punch. But it was actually When I was coming back from a networking event with Zoe from Shed One Gin, we were talking about her and her company, and that kind of sparked the idea in me. Oh, what if I created an alcoholic drink as well? But I was more inspired actually afterwards with the cake, because I thought, oh, it might be difficult to get licensed and everything. So I ran with the cake, really.
Fantastic. I'm very glad you did as well. So tell us about the actual getting into the food business. And I know you've got 5 tips or steps to share with us. And I'm sure you've made quite a few mistakes along the way, because that is an entrepreneur's journey. So let us know what mistakes that people should avoid. But can you just tell us about the steps that somebody needs to take?
Could you just repeat the question? You were kind of cutting out a little bit.
Yeah, sorry. Tell us about the steps that somebody needs to take to get into the food business, and just make sure that you also share with us some of your mistakes maybe that you've made, so other people can avoid it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So some of the steps, would you like me to just start with the first step, or
go ahead? Let's just dive in.
Okay. Well, for me, the foundation of what I'm doing is the business plan. Even though today my business looks nothing like what I had written on the business plan because of COVID, and because that's just how business plans work. But I would still say it's a very, very important part. It's a foundation, because at least today, now that I've done it, I think that I feel more confident about where I'm going. It's a plan. You work on your vision, your short term, your medium term, your long term vision, and you get down into the nitty gritty. Mine was a bit complicated because, I was trying to calculate what's the cost of a raisin, for this cake. Well, it wasn't that bad, but you know what I mean? You get right down to the nitty gritty. So there's the whole marketing part as well. Who are you going to sell to? Who are your competitors? How are you going to sell? Where are you going to? When are you going to sell? And so it gets you looking into all areas of the business that you're going to create, and gives you a global view. It's like the macro view and the micro, because you actually do get down into the nitty gritty. So it's a good foundation. So there's that side, and there's also the cash flow forecast as well over 12 months. Obviously you kind of, you don't know exactly how it's going to turn out, but at least you can have a go at trying to figure out how you want it to be. And there's also the personal survival budget. So how much do you actually need to make to be able to, first of all, live off of what you're doing? And all of these things together, they just build the foundation, really.
And I suppose sorry, it's a bit of a distortion. Probably should have tried headphones before we started, but it was all a bit of a rush, wasn't it? I suppose that some people could either try and start the business without the plan and then go back and do the plan in retrospect. I've seen a lot of people do that. And other people don't plan at all. They're not planners. The sort of Richard Bransons of this world fly by the seat of the pants and hope it's all going to be okay. I'm definitely a planner. I like processes. And whilst I probably have never done a 12-month cash flow, kudos to you for doing that. I think, a 3-month cash flow is actually really vital. To see where those difficult, challenging periods are going to be. I mean, for somebody like us as an estate agency, we get our money in little sort of lumps, and then nothing for a couple of months, and another lump. And if that lump doesn't come in, that can give us a shortfall. But because you're selling lots of little things, that's a lot of marketing, isn't it, to do? A lot of sales.
A lot of sales and marketing, yeah. And the thing is, I know what the other side is like. When I was in Paris, I was self-employed as well. I ran a training and coaching company, and for that I didn't actually write a business plan. And I can see the difference between not doing it and actually doing it. And I think that doing one has far more benefits than not doing one.
Yeah. Because actually it makes you think of things that you wouldn't have thought of before. I was just talking to Tess earlier today about what an ideal customer persona is, an avatar the person that you think is going to buy your product or your service, and that's what you rave about it. You can identify them. You can make your marketing budget go a lot further, can't you?
Exactly.
Is one of your steps money, or do you want to just quickly talk about money and funding?
No, money, I guess, is part of the whole business plan section. So funding, there are a number of funding options. If you're on Universal Credit, for example, you can join what they call the new Enterprise Allowance scheme, and it's linked to the Cumbria Chamber. So what happens is you get a mentor or a supervisor. You get 3 months to write your business plan in, and if that's signed off by the Chamber of Commerce of Cumbria, then you actually get a grant of around, I think it's about 1,250 not euros, sorry, I'm still in France, pounds. Yeah, 1,250 pounds, but you have to be very careful because you can't earn over a certain threshold. If you do, then that collapses the whole scheme, which is what my case was. But at least I got some mentorship out of that. So yeah, it's possible to write a business plan in 3 months. Mine should have taken 3 months, but it took a bit longer because I started just before the summer. And so because there's lots of people involved in what I do, not everybody was available over the summer. So I asked for an extension and I got it. So I got my business plan in 4 months. And part of that is obviously there's a column, there are lines where you fill in your finance, how you plan to finance the venture. So I decided that I would get a loan as well to finance mine. There's a really good company called the Startup Loans Company, startuploans.co.uk. If you go onto their website, they actually have a template of a business plan. I actually did 2 business plans, one for the Cumbria Chamber and also one for the loan, because in between my ideas kind of changed. So it's really interesting to work on the new ideas in the business plan. So they're very, very good. You get free mentorship when you sign up. If they like what they back your project, you actually get free mentorship, and other things as well. But that's the only thing that I'm focusing on at the moment, the free mentorship. So that's something else.
That's really good. How important do you think mentorship is to a new business?
That's one of my points.
I'll let you move on. Forget that question. Scrap it. Move on.
Yeah, we'll talk about it a bit later on, but it's essential. Yeah. And so I guess the third point of the finance that I would bring up is that I will start a crowdfunding campaign once I think all this is over. I was supposed to have finished it already, but some people were saying that during the lockdown it's not the right time. Some people saying go for it. So until I've kind of sensed that it's the right time to launch the crowdfunding campaign, I won't actually do it. But there is one coming up. And what I found is for women who haven't made more than £1,000 or revenue of £1,000, they can sign up to NatWest Back Her Business Fund, which is a matching crowdfunder. So basically, up until £5,000, if you raise £5,000, NatWest will actually give you £5,000. So that's the scheme that I've chosen. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. What is it? As a loan or as a grant or what? What is it?
No, it's not a loan. It's free money. What can I say?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's not very well known, is it? They don't seem to advertise that. Is that only for women?
Yes, it's Back Her Business, so it's only for women who
Why is it only for women? And I don't know why I'm asking you that. You're not NatWest. I will ask NatWest that. But I can understand that they want to get more women into business. But, I think women are the backbone of very, very small micro businesses in this country. I think that, the micro businesses are more likely to be run by a woman because they might want to work around their family or their other commitments, rather than a man who it might be his full-time kind of commitment. So I think both are needed. It just drives me mad when there's just a woman-only thing. I know it's obviously benefited you great. But if I've been sitting here talking to you and you've been a man and you'd gone, well, I would have really liked that, but it wasn't available to me, then it would have been frustrating.
Yeah, I think it's just to encourage women female entrepreneurship. And also in the past, women have been more at a disadvantage. Apparently there's statistics that show that women are less likely to get funding. So it's just, I think, to encourage women and to support women who have business ideas.
Okay. Let's move on. So your first step was to get the planning done, the financial planning and the business planning and the marketing planning.
Yeah. So the second step is network. That is the second step. Yeah. And I have a big thank you for you, because I mean, without you, I don't think I would be here today, because do you remember when we were just speaking downstairs by the car, and I said, I have got this idea, I want to create these cakes, and you were like, well, just come and do a trial at my networking event. You remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and you did. You brought a sample in for everybody.
And I did. So yeah, that is that. From that point, my kind of dream started to become a reality. And what was brilliant is that I got feedback. That's why I'm saying network, because if you're in a food business, you need people to taste what you're making so that you can improve. You can try different things, and so it's been really essential, really, for me, networking. And I've done so many other taste testers in other different networks. For example, was it Sue Howarth that came onto a lockdown lesson that said she'd never heard of you until, I can't remember what happened now, but something happened. I featured you on my page or something, and she went, "Oh, Elaine, I need to speak to her." Right. Foodie part of her business or something. Yeah, exactly. And that, if I trace the steps back, that comes from networking, because I met Danielle Hone, who's been on your, exactly. So I met her at a Lakeland Businesswomen's Network meeting. She introduced me to Jeanette Hardy, who made the video of all of the local businesses.
That's what she saw. She saw the video.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's how Sue Howarth came to know about me. So yeah, it's just brilliant. And another thing that is really beneficial for me from all the networking is that I got the names of my cakes from all the feedback. Lots of people said, "Oh, they're delicious. Oh, they're divine. Oh, they're delectable." And so these have become the names of the products that I'm selling today through feedback.
That's fantastic. The other thing as well about feedback from our networking friends is, because if you don't know them that well, they won't just tell you things you want to hear. Your family and friends go, "Oh yeah, that's lovely. Oh yeah, loads of people will buy that, and I really love it." But your networking friends go, "Yeah, I'm not sure about that packaging," or they'll just be a bit more honest with you. And that's, I think, what you need when you're first setting up in business, isn't it? A bit of honesty.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. I have these 2-page feedback forms, and people are saying, "Yeah, I don't like them because of this reason. Don't like them because of that reason." And another thing, that's why I decided to have a range of 3 rummier cakes, and rummiest cakes.
Oh yeah, because some people said too much rumming, and other people said wasn't enough.
Exactly. So it's like you can't please everybody. So what do you do? So basically, that's how that was. The ranges actually were born.
That's fantastic. So you've got your plan, you've networked to get feedback. What's the next step?
Yeah. So the next step is to get expert help, and this is where the mentorship comes in. Yeah. Now my next point actually is about all the different food events, but let me just say that I met at the Food and Drinks Means Business North event. I think it was last September. There was a keynote speaker, Claire Brumby, and she basically got her business from minus whatever to $1 million whatever, selling in Harrods. And she was really inspirational. And I just said in my heart, I said, I really, really want to work with this lady, because I think that she could help me to get to where she could give me advice and support. And that's what I did. Months later, I contacted her and said, "I'd like to work with you," because my financing from the loan had come through, so I actually had money to pay her. And so, yeah, we are working together. And she's proving just a source of a resource for me. That's really what I need, because I don't know anything about the food industry really, but she's been there and done it. She knows all the avenues, she knows all the channels, she knows people, and she can give good advice. So definitely mentorship is the way to go with somebody that's in your field, obviously.
So what actually that you say in your field? Because Phil and I have a business, I would call him more of a coach than a mentor, although I don't know, a bit of both really. I would say a mentor tells you what to do and a coach asks good questions. So I suppose it's good to have a bit of a mixture of both. And ours isn't in our industry at all. However, Phil and I are both coaches and mentors to our industry. People want to know how to build their own version of Ashdown Jones. So it's really interesting, I think, to see it from both sides there, because we get really good, valuable advice from our business coach who's not in our industry, because he has no barriers, you know. But when you're just starting a brand new estate agency, you really do need coaching and mentoring from somebody who's actually done that. Otherwise, you don't know what process to put in place. But what specifically do you get from your mentor? How does that relationship work? And so you pay her, and what do you get in return for those people who are considering this option?
Well, you get somebody who has different perspective, a more mature perspective than you do actually. So yeah, when I explain, because Claire's already been there and done it, she knows different processes that I'm completely unaware of. So she's able to guide me in certain areas, timing as well. It's just general advice really for what are we working on at the moment, like marketing plan, for example, or for example, the recipe, you know, need to work on that. So here's somebody that you could contact to work on that. You know, the manufacturer,
suppliers and contacts that you can use. You can tap into her little black book. And exactly. I'll share with us how much you pay her, but what sort of around what budget should somebody expect to pay for a coach or mentor?
I don't actually. I think probably have a range of between, I don't know, maybe it's hard to say, because I think that everybody has different rates, but perhaps up to maybe £2,000 maximum, perhaps 2 or 3
per month. Is that?
No, for a number of sessions. So
right.
Perhaps 10 sessions. I don't know.
Right. Okay. So the way it works then is phone or Zoom, you know, meetings, or you know, advice sessions, and then you can contact them in between, can you, for help and advice on specific things and contacts with specific suppliers. Great. Yeah.
Well, Claire's got all of her rates on her website, so you know, you just go to Claire Brumby and have a look. And she's got different services, so depends on what you're looking for. But it's an interesting question about what you're saying about the difference between coaching and mentorship, because I'm actually a life coach as well. It's my other business, and I often explain the difference between coaching and mentorship. So mentorship is, you know, you're working with somebody who's already, as I said, been there and done it and can give you advice, whereas a coach doesn't necessarily have to be anybody. I mean, I coach different people that I've no idea where they're coming from. I'm an expert in the field that they are in. That doesn't matter, because, as you say, we are there to master the skill of you know, asking good questions basically, and get the answers, what the person's looking for out of them, to draw them and to draw those out of them and to support them in achieving their objectives.
Yeah, the other thing I would say as well about that, just to add to that point, is if you are looking for a business coach or mentor and the first one you just don't really click with, it doesn't mean that coaching or mentoring is wrong for you. It just means that that particular person wasn't really quite right. But you don't have to really like your coach or mentor, because sometimes when they tell you things that are hard and that are hard for you to hear, sometimes you do have resistance, and that resistance is something to build on, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And that's a really good point, because this is why before I coach anybody, I offer a 30-minute, what I call a chemistry call, so that I get the feel for the person gets the feel for me, and we see if we want to work together. And if we do, how can that be done? And make sure that they know that if during the process there's anything that comes up, then please be honest, open and honest. We have an open, honest, confidential relationship. So chemistry calls a really good way to kind of feel each other out, let's say.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to step 3. Oh no, step 4, sorry.
That was step 3, yeah. So step 4 is the food events. And I think I'm just going to maybe give you a list at the end of different food events that I found helpful.
In the post, can't we, afterwards? I think that's
right, exactly, yeah. We'll do that. That've been useful for me on my journey. But what I would say is, just even if you sign up to a food event, because, for example, let's take the Lakes Hospitality Trade Show. So I've never been there, but unfortunately the event was postponed. It was supposed to be in March, but it's now going to be in October. However, I signed up, and because I signed up and my information was on the website, the MasterChef 2019 winner, her name is Irini Tortzoglu. Sorry, Irini, I don't know how to say your last name. She's Greek. But she saw, that I was going to be attending, and she found a way to contact me. And she said, look, I would love to make something out of your cake. I'd love to make a recipe, just try something, make something up. And so just because I signed up to that event, that's something that's come out of that. And if you have a look at my brochure, I've actually got an endorsement from Irini on the brochure. So just signing up to an event can bring absolutely, surprising opportunities.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. That also happened as well when I signed up for the Farm Shop and Deli show. Now, I got to know the Farm Shop and Deli show through Food and Drinks Means Business North, the event that I was talking about, where I met Claire Brumby. And there was a stand, a This is Cumbria stand. So they had a lot of, a few, I don't know how many local food businesses that were exhibiting there. Once again, Zoe, Shed One Gin, she was there. And she said, oh, you really need to be there. Be at this event that was supposed to be in March, end of March, beginning of April, but it's obviously been postponed until September now. So yeah, she said, you need to be there. And then I think it was a few months later, I was at one of your events at Samash, the Ashton. Yeah, the Sam Club. I was sitting next to Andrea King, and she was like, yeah, this is Cumbria, and I'll put you in contact with Keith, who runs, everything's just, that's what I'm saying, network. And because I signed up to the Farm Shop and Deli show, once again, they put me on the map. They have like a food map of companies in the area. People saw me, so I got this lady ringing me up from a golf club saying, we are going to have our summer event is around the Caribbean, and we'd love to have some of your cakes there. Another company in the north of Cumbria, it's a shop where they sell alcohol, and they said, we don't have anything that's any food and nothing to do with rum. We have great rums, and we'd like to sample your cake. So just because I signed up that event, I got people coming to me.
Do you think there's something in the fact that, without getting too woo-woo, which I'm not at all, but that once you get aligned on your purpose and you start pursuing your goal, doors start opening? It's almost like magic.
Yeah. I tell you, I think since I've left Paris and I've come to Cumbria, I just feel like I'm in the flow. It was almost like when I was in Paris, everything, it was like everything was blocked up. And it was really time for me to leave. And as soon as I stepped into this space, it was like the promised land, honestly. It's like everything's flowing with milk and honey. It just flows. There's a wonderful community here in Cumbria. I mean, I used to network often back in practice. It's not the same. It's really like night and day. So yeah, I do believe that when you're in the flow, you're just in the flow, and things come to you. And
the right attracted to you because you're excited,
absolutely.
you're motivated, you've got the right energy. And I think I absolutely agree with you. I mean, I was on my news at 10 this morning talking about what an amazing community we have. It's the best community I've ever lived in, and I've lived in a lot of houses. I think that individually we make up that community. We've got to remember what we're putting in, the emotional energy that we're putting in, because how you show up is what you take away. So actually it could be that it's actually not about the community, it's actually about Elaine and where she is in her life right now. And you're just, you're exuding this amazing energy, and people are just drawn to that.
Yeah, I do think it has something to do with my mum as well, though, because she was just an amazing person. I think that I'm the benefactor of some of the good that she's done and she's left. And sometimes I think that's what I think. Yeah, that I'm just reaping a lot of what she sowed. So,
but make sure you give yourself credit as well, Elaine, because you have come on an amazing journey yourself personally.
Yeah,
I know that you've got a bit of your mum with you, but it's you. You're creating your own legacy. It's not her. By the way, there's a really good book on flow. I don't know if you've ever read it, by Mikhail Csikszentmihalyi. Have you ever heard of that one?
No.
It's literally called Flow. And I still haven't read it. It's on my Audible, and I need to listen to it. But apparently it's an incredible book about being in the flow and all the amazing things that happen to you when you've aligned your purpose and your actions. It's a great.
Yeah, it is. And, I felt before I came here, I felt like I was in a long tunnel and I just couldn't see the end. And the light at the end of the tunnel for me is really here, Cumbria, this community. And I was really happy because last week I was able to give back in a certain way, because there was it was VE Day, wasn't it, last Friday? And I was asked to make some cakes for a local charity, the Bowness and Windermere Community Care Trust. And so for me, that was really important because it's a way for me to give back to this wonderful, wonderful community.
Oh, and I think that's what so many people do here. That's why people are constantly paying in, taking out, and that's how a community should work, isn't it? Okay, let's move on to your step 5 then.
Okay, my step 5 would be to develop partnerships with people and places that are part of your story. Part of, obviously, my story is about rum, and I wasn't expecting it at all, but I discovered when I was here that there is a rum story in Cumbria, and it's actually there's a place in Whitehaven called the Rum Story, which I went to. And have you been there?
No.
Oh my goodness, yes, it's called the Rum Story, and it's an attraction. So they've got like a permanent exhibition, it's like a little museum there, and it traces the story of rum, and it goes right back to when the slaves were brought from Africa and sent to the Caribbean to build the rum industry. It's really worth going. It is very moving. I came out and I was, I had tears in my eyes and, a bit choked up, because it's a bit of a bittersweet story, let's say, but really worth going there. So when I went there, I said to the Rum Story, look, I've got this idea of these cakes. Could we work together somehow? And months later, through discussions, they said yes. And so I'm actually using the rum, this one here. It's I don't know if you can see, it's the Jefferson's. It's called 1785 extra fine dark rum. This will be used for the Christmas edition of the cakes.
The Christmas edition of the cake, I like it.
Yeah. So that's really important for me because Cumbria is my new home and Jamaica is my heritage. So I wanted to build something around both of them. And fortunately for me, I found it. Well, it found me really here. So that's really important. And also the cakes, they go well with, for example, cheese. Believe it or not,
I like cakes with like fruit cake and cheese. I've always liked. That's a bit of of a Cumbrian tradition, actually. At Christmas, you have Christmas cake on Wensleydale.
Okay, well, there you go. Yeah, in Jamaica, we have what we call bun and cheese. Bun is like a sweet kind of bread that's quite like compact, but we eat it with cheese. So yeah, fruitcake and cheese go well together. Also, ice cream. My mum's favourite ice cream was rum and raisin. So you can imagine how, yeah, that goes well with the cake.
Ice cream. You could make ice creams as well, Elaine. Have you thought about diversifying?
You could do so much. I mean, there's the teas, there's the coffees that go really well with the cakes, and there's all these little local, small businesses that I could partner with, and that I've been looking into partnering with around all of these different types of foods. So yeah, Cumbria is really rich in local food businesses. So hopefully I'll be able to.
We're a very foodie county, aren't we? Don't you think? We're a very foodie county.
Oh, definitely. I think one of the biggest partnerships I have, I guess, is with ginger bakers, because I've actually decided to outsource the production of the cakes for various different reasons. Time, for one, expertise. I mean, I could put Lisa Smith as well into this category of being a mentor, an expert. Amazing. She's an expert maker. I'm not, do my best, and it's turned out really well so far. But
But one of the things that she said in the lockdown letter was she attributes her survival to another baker. Is it? I've forgotten his name now. Adrian, I think, from Lakeland, from Artisan. Is that right? And the fact that he saved her when her premises got flooded. So what goes around comes around, and so he was able to help her survive. She's been able to pass on her mentor to you. It's just how it works, isn't it?
Exactly. And would you believe that it was Aidan that from Loving the Artisan that advised me to go to Lisa to make the cakes as well, because they're all in the same area. Yeah, exactly. Rin, actually, they're all in the Plumgas, the base of the Plumgas area. So Rin has a coffee place as well, Ronaldo's, and he said the same thing to me as well. Why don't you get Lisa to make the cakes for you? And which is really good, because this gives me an opportunity as well to continue working on my coaching as well, because it's an important part of my life as well.
I think when you quite often you need to, it's kind of a mirror of what you need, and you hear the problems somebody else is having and the challenges, and then you can come up with adaptive solutions, and then you can apply it to your own life and your own businesses. I love the process of coaching and mentoring. I think it's amazing. Well, that was really, really helpful, Elaine. Thank you so much for that. Really good tips there. So let's see if I can remember them. Step one was to make a business plan, or at least do some planning. Step two was to network. I'm gonna fall foul of these in a minute. Step three was to get a mentor. Step four was to go to events and
food events.
And step five was to find your story.
To develop partnerships. Well done. That's a part of your story. Yeah,
that's great. Well, I think they're really good tips, and actually relevant to any business, not just the food industry, any business. But if somebody is interested in taking, the first step in their journey, is that something that you can help with in some way? Can somebody get in contact with you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they definitely can. I mean, you can contact me by email. As you can see, the address there is info@Vi's.JamaicanRumcakes.co.uk. And I'll definitely be able to help out, to give you some more names of, for example, food, events or organizations that you can get involved in. Actually, there's one called WIFI. It's for women again, I think. Women in the food industry as well. There's that one. There's also, for example, the Lancashire University Management School. They do masterclasses sometimes. And I went to one that was by, it was Jo Fairley, the CEO of Green and Blacks. The chocolate. Yeah. She was there. I was able to actually ask her a question. And one thing that I remember from that is that she said, get your products into the mouths of influencers. And that really stuck with me. So I'm trying to think, how can I get people to taste what I'm making and influences in the industry. So yeah.
Well, that's brilliant, and another great bit of advice actually. But we'll put. You're going to send me a list, aren't you, of some of the events?
Yeah,
and we'll put that all in the post as well. But that has been superb, Elaine. Thank you so much for spending time with me today and with everybody else.
Thank you.
And thank you for being flexible about the day, and well done for being number 4 of the lockdown. We got there eventually.
Glad I got in there.
And Elaine's home base is just around the corner from our office, so we have a little wave when I go past, which is nice as well. I'm at home at the moment, but I'm planning on going into the office in a bit, so I'll give you a wave to go past.
All right, we'll see you in a bit then.
See you in a bit.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks, Elaine.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.